Hey, thanks for stopping by Minnesota Black Robe Regiment here on YouTube and Rumble. If you are watching on Rumble, make sure that you are following so that you're getting email notifications when my content drops. If you're here on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. You've got two options for subscription. You've got one little white spot down there in the screen that says Minnesota Black Robe Regiment Podcast. You can click on that and you will be subscribed. Or you can go down below by the description and you can hit the subscribe bar down there. If you're subscribed, make sure you're getting notifications. YouTube likes to shadow ban people. They like to shadow unsubscribe people. They like to remove notifications. So check those things out. Like, comment, and share. So before we get going too far here, I wanted to ask you to support me. Support me, right? But you get something out of it. I'm not going to ask you to just send me money. You can buy coffee from me. It's wonderful. You can buy these really nice lowball drink glasses. Can't really see it, but unless it's got something nice in there. Minnesota Black Robe Regiments etched into that. Got some friends down in Iowa, Patriot friends that make those. Really nice mug like this. I've got another mug that's black that's etched. Some of you might be. Also have tumblers come in gray, white, and black that are etched. So I'm going to ask you guys to reach out to me, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, either on Facebook, or you can find me personally on Facebook, TC Pearson on Facebook, or you can email me, tcpearson@protonmail.com. If you're interested in something, let me know. I'm going to tell you right now, the coffee is exemplary. It is 100% organic and fair trade, and so far everybody that's tried it has loved it. They say it's some of the best they've ever had. Had one friend that said one customer, I should actually say, that says they will be buying this over Black Rifle any day. So, and I know how a lot of you feel about Black Rifle, so give it a shot. Also, you can see down there in my banner the website for Cyber Shield. It's www.cibshield.com. If you enter promo code MNBRR at checkout, you will get 10% off your order. Whatever it is you order, you get 10% off. And it's a phenomenal company. They make products for keeping your phone safe from anything like a EMP, or even if you want to put your phone in there for a while and set it aside so that your phone can't listen in. It's a great product for that. So please check out that product at cibshield.com and enter promo code MNBRR to take advantage of that. So I've already kind of telegraphed for the last week that this was coming. This video is airing on the 1-year anniversary of the start of the disciplinary process against me with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office. We're going to be watching a video and we're going to be looking at some documents. And this is incredibly important. I want you guys to pay very close attention. Even though I've talked about some of this, I haven't gone into complete detail with it yet. I have the documents right here in front of me. I will also be screen sharing them. Drop something here. I will be screen sharing them. And then when my site administrator for the website is feeling up to it, she'll be adding a bunch of documents in to for you guys to peruse. Somebody said I should put them behind a paywall, and I'm like, I'm not that popular yet. Anyway, it was 1 year ago at the time of this video airs that I was called away from the housing unit that I was working in the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office Adult Detention Center. I want to make it clear, I was a detention deputy. I was not a beat cop, not a street cop. I wasn't a detective, wasn't anything like that. I've never made a claim to be a law enforcement expert or pro. I was just good at what I did for the sheriff's office as a detention deputy. Good enough to be a field training officer and to have had quite a bit of success with that. It was a Friday afternoon. It was February 19th, 2021, 1-ish. And I got another fellow deputy walked in. He goes, "Hey, Todd, Sarge says he needs to see you." I'm like, okay, stepped out, went down to his office, and he goes, well, we need to go see the chief. And I said, oh, well, I know where this is going. I won't be coming back today. And he goes, well, I don't know that. Let's not jump to conclusions. And so I went and got my water bottle, and I got my coffee mug, and I went out. Sarge escorted me out to the conference room. Chief Deputy Brian Howard was sitting there. And I want to make it clear that Howard is guilty in this. He's guilty in this, but he's not guilty like from a position of he was really chomping at the bit for this. He was ordered to do this. I believe that the write-up, the way it is worded, was not written by Howard. I actually don't believe that Torgerson wrote it either. I believe somebody else wrote it. Neither one of them has the wherewithal to come up with this kind of write-up. This was a direction, though, from Torgerson to Howard. So anyway, I got into the conference room. Chief says, do you want to sit down? And I said, do I need my union rep? And he said, no, I don't think so. He said it. No, I don't think so. I asked, do I need one? He goes, nope, I don't think so. I said, oh, okay. So I went to sit down. And he goes, well, I have a disciplinary step notice, letter of reprimand here for you. And you need to understand a disciplinary step notice means that this is the first in a very potentially short or long series of disciplines that's geared towards terminating a person. And I said, oh, well, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to need to go get my cameras. Howard said, oh, well, whatever you need to do, Todd. And that's what I did. And so what you're going to hear is the two main voices that you're going to hear speaking will be me. It's pretty clear who I am. You'll know my voice. And you'll hear Howard. And I think at some point you might hear the sergeant as well. What I want you to understand is if my voice sounds off a little bit, I was angry. I was agitated. I was very upset. And I tried to engage. Well, I'm going to let you guys listen. Okay, I'm going to let you guys listen to this. And I may pause to interject, but I want you to hear exactly how this plays out and how I'm treated. And what I mean by how I'm treated is we're going to come back and we're going to read the actual document. But when I try to engage in conversation, it's not allowed. I've been told I don't need a union rep, and I'm not being allowed to ask questions. So let's hear my voice is muffled because I was required to wear a face covering. That's Brian Howard.
Yeah. No, I don't want to put it on. Well, I understand. I was just asking.
Well, keep in mind at this point, I'm being told I need to read this. Okay? I need to read this. So I'm reading it.
So are we referring to videos where I tell people that they are not needed? I'm asking you to read the letter. No.
Now, I will be putting up the video unredacted by itself without any commentary from me, but I want to hear that. Todd, I'm not going to argue with you. I wasn't asking him for an argument. I was asking for clarification. Did you hear that? Like, he does not want to engage.
Okay, so are we going back to the episode in June where you talked to me in Master Control and we're considering that a coaching? That's when we were talking. Correct. Yep. You talked to me. Yep. And then I asked for follow-up. Okay. And I asked for written follow-up. Okay. And you said you didn't want to do written follow-up. I didn't want to do written follow-up.
It's all, in my opinion, is a policy.
In his opinion, it's in policy. You see what I did to him there? And you guys have probably seen the video. And I shared that video, and I shared the email chain. He went back almost a year to consider that a verbal coaching. And sorry. And no documentation was ever done.
And so the expectation from this point forward is a disciplinary step notice.
That's just not
Reading policy.
Yep.
Okay.
Reading and abiding by policy.
Okay.
Expectation,
But
just like it's the sheriff's expectation.
And I understand that.
Yep.
But this is an infringement.
Okay. What's an infringement? I'm sorry.
My actions outside of here, when I am not conducting myself in an illegal way, as they pertain to constitutionally protected First Amendment rights in particular. I'm assuming what you mean by abiding by those is no more of anything like this, or I can't speak my opinion.
I never said you can speak to it.
So if I use a term like Nazi brown shirt to describe something, and somebody reports that or complains about it, that would then be considered a violation of policy.
Possibly, if you read the policy, and if you're abiding by policy, like it states in there.
And today's date is February 19th. It is 2:13 p.m.
If you're watching me right now and I look uncomfortable, I'm going to be honest with you. This is incredibly difficult to watch and listen to. I did not realize how hard this was going to be. This was the beginning of a very, very long, bad stretch of time working for the sheriff's office.
Yeah, I want records of everything that was recorded, and I want dates. And if by signing, I understand the content of the document.
That's exactly what I said.
I am not acknowledging
receiving it.
acknowledging any guilt or agreement. I'm signing to acknowledge that I've been given paperwork and that I am not admitting that I have violated any standing laws. This is huge for me.
So, for today, obviously you know how important these agents agree with. If you're bothering you, you'll have to go back to work. Okay? You can go home. It is on me. Okay? I want you to write down the line. It's important.
So what he's doing, he's offering to let me take the rest of the day off with pay without having to burn any PTO or anything because he's being so magnanimous. He's such a nice guy. He's just so nice.
Your safety, safety of others. So if you want to have your day, go to find that, or you feel comfortable that after I leave here. Again, if you're not feeling like you want to come to work,
That'll be on me.
Then all right, that's on you, okay? And so I understand that you don't want to do that, as long as you're going to keep your safety.
I would never do anything.
I know you were under this one. You're recording me, so I'm gonna make sure you're.
No, I don't.
Okay?
You're recording me, so I'm going to make sure everyone hears that.
And please understand, it's not because I don't trust you.
No, I know. I just want to make sure I'm being forward with you.
No, I
don't like it.
it's not me.
I know this is dull, but you guys need to understand that I do not want any accusation being made that I edited in any way, shape, or form. And I would need you guys to pay very close attention to what's said here next over the next few minutes. Okay, we got approximately 3 minutes left on this. And so it's very, very important that you listen to what is said here.
Make sure everything's there.
And the documentation of the actual complaint, I would like to see that correct.
Yeah, so I'll get you stuff.
And how long would it take for that to?
It won't be today. So we'll get you back to the director of that policy.
Well, I mean, provided.
Yeah.
I think I probably will take the remainder of the day, not just because you told me it's on you.
No, I'm a little, I expected that, that's why
I would, if at all possible, if it's easier to do a PDF and send it to me, I can print it out and make it, or send it to myself at home. I would be okay with that. I would like that. ASAP.
I would give it to you, so
If I told you every chance that would be.
it won't be by the end of the week. And I can.
Keep in mind, he had pages of documentation for me already. There's no way Howard didn't know that I was going to ask for that stuff. No way that he couldn't foresee that. And he couldn't provide it for me that day. And guess what I still have never received?
Someplace that was supposed to be 20 minutes ago that I'm not at.
And then is there a chance that after I've had time to process this and talk this through some trustee council that we'll be able to sit back down and figure out what it looks like, how many, because that's my activity.
Now remember, policy was clear. It's written. It's clear. Remember, he said that at the beginning of this meeting.
As far as my channel and whatnot, I want to be compliant to a lawful authority in the sheriff as my employer without taking needless risks, without also being completely and utterly, without being completely and totally and utterly at a loss as to what's going to be.
I mean, I do think our policy is pretty clear, but it's open for debate, I guess, and let me talk to someone and because, you know, you're smart, right? There's so many different rules.
That doesn't make me feel smart.
there's so many different variables that we could, what if? I mean, you know that as well as I do, what if things to them. But let me talk to someone, yes, I will.
Because now I have other content now that's like out there prior to today. Like,
I will let you know as soon as I, but it will not be by the end of the weekend. Your contact's not done as soon as the personnel file and stuff.
I feel that on my phone. It's not in the file.
I think it is. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't know everybody's phone number at the top of my head. My assumption is knowing how Phil does business, everything.
I don't remember most of my family.
Exactly. But I will contact you as soon as I can. Okay. Any questions? Anything else, guys? Which means the hero should be hero. And obviously,
Yeah. Well, policies, it's written down, so it's clear. But, and I think policy is very clear, but it could be debated, I guess. Now, should we take a look at some of the things that they wrote me up for? Are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? Are you ready to see the kind of things that I was being told not only could get me in trouble, but that actually got me in trouble, that started the ball rolling? Let's take a look. February 19th, 2021. Written reprimand. You are being given this written reprimand pursuant to Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, ADC, Adult Detention Center, Policy 2-8, Speech, Expression, and Social Networking, and Olmsted County Office Civil Service Commission, Rule 2.9, Causes for Disciplinary Action. This reprimand is based on the following behaviors that are causes for disciplinary action up to and including termination. Speech or expression that have negative impact on the credibility of the employee as a witness, ADC Policy 2-8, subsection D, offensive conduct or language toward the public or employees. Civil Service Commission 2.9-1, subsection F. So, specific examples of this behavior include, but are not limited to, the following. Speech or expression that may have a negative impact on your credibility as a witness. Publishing a visual recording encouraging the public to violate a lawful order. Now, you guys know, and I know, that what they're talking about here in lawful order is related to Commissar Walls of the People's State of Minnesota and his executive orders, where he ordered people to stay home, where he ordered people to mask up, where he ordered people to close their businesses. And yes, I did publicly tell people not to obey those orders. But when it says obey lawful orders, where to violate a lawful order, and it's encouraging the public to violate a lawful order, it's a form of protest. It's a form of freedom of speech to protest against government tyranny. I'm free to do that. And they're saying that that I'm not. Here's the next statement. You guys can see some of this already. Publishing this written statement, backsound officers, but not all that wear blue. That's no longer allowed because it could hurt my credibility as a witness. I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that any cop, any person in the law enforcement community that tells you that that statement could hurt your credibility as a witness is a liar. They're a liar. And once again, that shouldn't even be an issue of opinion. That should be the statement of every single person in uniform ever, period. I'm going to back sound officers, but not every single person that wears blue. I don't care what the context is. We shouldn't be endorsing cops when they're doing bad things and backing them when they're doing bad things, especially when it comes to infringing on people's constitutional liberties. Here's a wonderful one. Cops and firefighters and EMTs aren't heroes. They're not. You're not a hero for being a cop. You're not a hero for being a firefighter. You're not a hero for being an EMT. Period. End of discussion. End of story. And I meant it then and I mean it now. Just putting on that uniform doesn't make you a hero. You only become a hero when you have done something that is heroic. Period. End of discussion. This is basically telling me you are not entitled to have that opinion. And you're definitely not entitled to express that opinion, whether it be in writing or in speech. Publishing this audio recorded statement about a law enforcement agency's response to a call for service. There is no reason for this kind of response. Now, I'm pretty sure I know which one they're talking about here, which is the Albert Lee PD's response to Kelly Don Martinez illegal use of a panic device when there was no threat to persons or property. And there was no call for that response because there was no call for that panic device to be used. Now, who cares? I can critique any response. I can critique any response. In fact, anybody in law enforcement should be critiquing the responses of any organization's response to a situation, especially when there are reasons why it's failed or is flawed or isn't done right. And you can rest assured that if I had critiqued it and said, these guys are amazing, which they never did report, like in that same video, I praised them for coming in and not going overboard, but they didn't talk about that, did they? No. Publishing this audio recorded statement, I don't wear a mask anywhere. I didn't wear a mask anywhere except for at work because I believed in that situation, my employer had the authority to require me to wear one for a plethora of reasons. But I don't work for the governor, and neither do you. And I didn't wear a mask anywhere that I went. And I didn't have a problem with it. And I'm going to remind people that at the time, my boss, the sheriff, emailed to his staff that he was not going to require his staff to be mask police or social gathering police or social distancing police or anything like that. Basically making it clear that he wasn't going to get too involved in enforcing the governor's mandates. Publishing a visual recording of yourself violating a lawful order. Now, we really need to make sure that people understand this. When the term lawful order is used in regard to a deputy, to someone in law enforcement, that means a lawful order as it pertains to their job, not to something going on out in public. At no point do they have the authority to tell me what I can and cannot do in that regard as far as protesting or whatnot. They're calling the governor's mandate a lawful order, and it's not a lawful order. This is such a reach. This is a disgusting reach, is what it is. So let's get on to some of these other examples. Speech or expression that contradicts the mission of the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office. Failing to respect and protect the civil and legal rights of all individuals by photographing a private citizen at his place of employment and publishing his likeness without permission. One, don't need to do that. Minnesota is a single-party consent state. There is no right to privacy in that regard when I am in public. And I'm a private citizen too, and I was doing that as a private citizen. And the reason why I was recording was because I had experiences where I was treated like absolute dirt. I was treated like dirt on numerous occasions. And I don't need permission to do that. And if they knew the law, especially Howard and especially Torgerson and whoever else wrote this for them, because quite frankly, neither one of them has the enough intelligence to rub together and make a fire for a gnat. I recorded and published for my protection, and there is no such thing as a right to privacy in public. I do not need to get another person's permission to publish their image when I'm in public and I am part of that interaction. Here's this one. This is great. Failing to respect the importance of all disciplines within the criminal justice system and actively discouraging cooperation with one or more of them by repeatedly challenging the validity of a criminal prosecutor's charging decisions. You're damn right. Excuse me. You're darn right. I repeatedly questioned the validity of the actions of Keith Ellison, and I especially repeatedly questioned the validity of Kelly Don Martinez's charging of Lisa Hansen for criminal conduct with criminal charges over lawful protest, constitutionally protected protest. This is the kind of coward that Brian Howard, and this is the kind of coward and tyrant that Torgerson are. I'm not allowed to question charging decisions of another entity as a deputy. I'm not allowed. You do not have that freedom. Entering into informal activity that presents a conflict of interest or is inconsistent with the conscientious performance of your duties by providing security for an event encouraging the public to violate a lawful order. I wasn't providing security at that event, but mind you, I was very clear that I was not providing security. I was helping a friend who was having a protest, a lawful protest, who advertised as a protest, published as a protest, posted about a protest, that they were protesting the government. Yes, I worked the door. You want to know why? Because we were told that Antifa and Black Lives Matter were going to try and come in and cause problems. So we were controlling traffic in and out of the protest. That's all I was doing. I wasn't doing security. I was there to enjoy the protest, to take part in the protest, and to keep an eye on things in that regard. But it wasn't security. And I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to be part of a protest? Kevin Torgerson? Pretty sure I have a constitutional right for assembly of the redress of grievances. Right? I don't have a right to assemble for the redress of grievances. I don't have a freedom to associate with whoever I choose. I don't. And there again, to encouraging the public to violate a lawful order. It's called a protest, you moron. Failing to respect the importance of all disciplines within the criminal justice system and actively discouraging cooperation with one or more of them by commenting on criminal investigation conducted by the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, disparaging 2 DPS investigators, and publishing your audio recorded statements regarding the same. That's called satire and sarcasm, Kevin. And I can do that even if you don't like it. This is what I got wrote up for. This is what the threat of termination was for. I picked on a couple of investigators from another agency because they were traumatized by having to go and investigate Lisa Hansen at the interchange. Oh, the trauma that must have been for them to go and have to deal with such a hardened criminal. Their lives were clearly in danger. That's what I got wrote up for. Here's this one you're going to love. Offensive conduct or language toward the public or employees. Offensive conduct or language toward the public or employees. Now, this is coming from the American Correctional Association and somewhat from the Civil Service Commission. Now, you have to remember the stuff for the Civil Service Commission is predominantly related to my activities while I'm on duty, and the ACA is related to exclusively to my activities while on duty or as a representative. And you also have to remember that the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office Adult Detention Center is not part of the American Correctional. Well, at the time was not a part. I don't know if they are now. A part of the American Correctional Association. They just use their code of ethics against me. So here's my offensive conduct or language. Stating that the government takes money through taxes, fees, and assessments by the threat of force, period. It does, you morons. Here's what happens, Kevin. Torgy. Here's what happens, Howard. You get charged taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, you get charged with a crime. If you get charged with a crime, you get called into court. If you don't go to court, the state and its statist will come and take you in. If you refuse to go, they will then physically grab you, put your arms behind your back, and place handcuffs on you and take you in to go to court. And if you're found guilty, then those same people will then put handcuffs on you, Kevin, and they will take you to jail. And then after you go to jail, you will go to prison. That's force. Taxes are taken through the threat of force. Fees and assessments are taken through the threat of force. That's what it is. That's the only way to look at it. There's no other way to look at it. Got to get over yourselves. Referring to detention deputies and law enforcement officers as men with guns. I don't even know what else to say. Oh, I know this might be offensive because I used gender specific language, right? So I need to be more woke. So here's what I should have said. I should have said non-gender specific human individuals with firearms. Would that have been that wouldn't have been offensive, right? You mean to tell me cops aren't men with guns? You mean to tell me that cops and other people with guns are not the ones who take you into custody when you don't pay your taxes? Members of the law enforcement community come and take you into custody when you don't pay your taxes. That's how it works, Kevin. That's how it goes. So what's the problem? And how is that offensive? It wasn't offensive. It was just a statement of fact. Here we go. Offensive conduct or language towards the public or employees. Part 3, confronting a private citizen about her activity, filming your interaction with her loudly asserting that she is a spy in a Nazi brown shirt, shouting at her about her political beliefs, encouraging others to join you in your behavior, and publishing the visual recording. First of all, I didn't encourage anyone else. Other people came out and took part because they were tired of being spied on. Because a woman named Angie Hansen in Albert Lee was spying on a protest and recording video of us. And I happened to catch wind of it. And so I went out and did what she was doing. She didn't ask permission from me, which she didn't have to have. And I will link the video there. Did I call her a Nazi brown shirt? You're darn right I did. You want to know why? Because she was acting like a Nazi brown shirt. She was acting like a fascist thug. Kind of like Kevin Torgerson and Brian Howard. Period. End of story. End of discussion. That's what happened. That wasn't offensive. And I'm a private citizen too. And I never represented myself as a member of the sheriff's office. Confronting a private citizen about their activity, filming your interaction with them, and refusing to leave after they stated they felt like they were being harassed, and publishing this visual recording. There again, I don't know for sure. There was a couple of different protests that I was part of where people said, "You're harassing me." No, we were in public and they were out counter protesting. I was having an interaction with them and then they got upset. Tough noogie. Want to go to a protest? You're going to expect to have some sort of confrontation. And guess what? I'm a private citizen too. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what started the ball rolling for me with the sheriff's office in Olmsted County. This is what Kevin Torgerson and this is what Brian Howard decided he was going to use. Somebody wrote this up for them and they watched me for months. I asked for clarification in going back to May 30th of 2020 and into June of 2020 and never got the clarification. And as you heard in the audio, Brian Howard said, "I didn't think I needed to because I thought it was pretty clear." And then minutes later said, "Well, policy can be debated." Corrective action. Read all policies cited in the document and adhere to them. Communicate with ADC command staff if you have any questions or concerns about whether something will violate any of these policies. Copies of the reference policies are attached in additional documents. This letter serves as a disciplinary step notice. Failure on your part to follow the corrective action plan will result in more serious disciplinary action up to and including termination of your employment with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office. On and on and on and on. And, you know, I'm not going to get into reading the entire policy to you, but this is what you guys have to understand. they stretched this like silly putty. They stretched this like taffy to try and find a way to make me out to be the bad guy. Because they weren't used to being resisted. That's part of the problem. They weren't used to it. They damn sure didn't like it. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? I ultimately ended up getting clarification on some things. Maybe I will show you guys that. See if I can find it. But I want to point out that one of the things that they said to me was that I needed to get clarification from the sheriff's office before I published anything if I had any questions about whether or not it was allowed. Do you see what that is? Do you see how stifling that is? Do you see how terrifying that could be for someone? So I sent an email and requested what's expected of me. What kind of behavior is expected of me? What do I need to do? Do I need to remove videos? And this is what I need to do. And so here's the response. This is a response to your email dated February 20th, 2021. So I wrote it the very next day. Regarding the written reprimand you were given on February 19th of 2020, it is also a notification that that an internal investigation has been commenced regarding your conduct. I received that on the 24th, so 5 days later. As noted on the reprimand, your signature serves only as an acknowledgement that you were given the reprimand and understand its content and understand Olmsted County Sheriff's Office policy and procedure in regarding social media. No disciplinary action will occur for the specific instances of conduct cited in the written reprimand dated February 19th, 2021. You may be disciplined for conduct that occurred prior to February 19th, 2021 if it is discovered during the internal investigation and it is conduct that violates Olmsted County Sheriff's Office policy, Civil Service Commission rules and regulations, Olmsted County policy and procedure, or any combination thereof. You are expected to remove from the Minnesota Black Robe Regiment YouTube channel the following videos. Albert Lee City Attorney Kelly Martinez breaking the law on video, the privilege of power in action, posted February 14th, 2021. Albert Lee, Minnesota City Attorney Kelly Donna Martinez forgets herself and disrespects her master, February 9th, 2021. Is there another page here? Yeah, here we go. An internal investigation has been commenced regarding your conduct. Accordingly, you are not entitled to review any complaints at this time. Please speak with ADC command staff if you have any questions or concerns about whether something will violate any of these policies. This is the internal investigation report. It was filed on the 19th, so the day that I was wrote up at 0800 hours. Given to Chief Deputy Brian Howard. I was accused. I'm the accused, obviously. And the witness is Terry Dose. I mentioned her already. Terry Dose was the complainant. She worked for the sheriff's office at one point, and she is a hardcore leftist. Hardcore leftist. This was targeted. Terry hated me. Terry continues to hate me. And Terry was used as a weapon against me. She may or may not have done this on her own, but I'm going to tell you, she was weaponized against me. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when you stand your ground and you speak for yourself. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what it looks like when you run afoul of a system that is not used to being bucked. You want to know why I don't like Kevin Torgerson? Torgerson the Tyrant? It's because of this. This is dirty. And there are a lot of people working for him that don't understand that. Can you believe that I was disciplined for saying something like not cops, firefighters, and EMTs aren't heroes. That was bad for my potential to be a witness. It was offensive to say that that taxes and fees and assessments are taken through the threat of force, period. That's offensive to the public or to employees. Calling people who work in law enforcement men with guns is offensive. If that offends you, you need to get out of the career field because and like go work in a marshmallow factory or a pillow factory, because that's about as hard as you are. You're a marshmallow and a pillow, panty-waisted milk toast wimp. And this is coming from a guy who can cry easy. But if that kind of crap offends you, you're a wimp and a puss. And so, Kevin Torgerson, if that offends you, you are exactly what I said. Brian Howard, if that's what you consider to be offensive language and you agree with that write-up, you're a coward. You're in the wrong line of work. Well, you don't really work, but, you know. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what started the ball rolling. And what really complicates this for them is the fact that going back, like I said, to May 30th of 2020, in the weeks following, when I was seeking clarification, they refused to give it. They refused to give it. And I have it. The audio, you heard him say, I didn't think I needed to. Policy is clear. Clearly, policy is not clear. And the policy and procedure will be shared either on Facebook or on my website, or maybe both. As you watch this, it's been a year to the day, or a year to the day and some days and some weeks or some months. This, ladies and gentlemen, are the kind of tools that tyrants use to shut down anybody who expresses dissent in their decision making. This is what Chief Deputy Brian Howard, this is what Kevin Torgerson, at the behest of Kelly Dawn Martinez, of the City Attorney of Albert Lea, and Chief J.D. Carlson, the Chief of Police, Director of Public Safety for the City of Albert Lea, and ostensibly the City Council and the Mayor of Albert Lea, because they're not reining in Kelly Dawn Martinez. They never have, and they won't be able to. She's got some sort of dirt on somebody in that town somewhere. And when we get further into this, because there is going to be subsequent videos talking about this, you're going to find out exactly what Kelly did and what J.D. Carlson did and what I was accused of and who is actually guilty. And the forthcoming video is going to ultimately probably be, the next one's probably going to be about Kelly in particular, very clear and very pointed about her. But Howard and the coward and tyrant Torgy are all in on this. They're in on this. This is the guy that leads law enforcement in Olmsted County. You want to run up against this guy? You want to be the person working for him right now and like raise your hand and go, sir, I have a question. I've seen this guy turn red in the face when somebody challenges him.
Minnesota Black Rope Regiment.
He's a narcissist. He's an egoist. Cannot stand to be challenged. He's a piece of work. He needs to be knocked down a notch. Once again, I know I probably don't stand a snowball's chance in Hades of getting anything stopped when it comes to his campaign for sheriff in 2022.
Minnesota Black Rope Regiment, it will be on my mark.
But I'm going to give it my level best. Torgerson's got to go. And I hope that there's somebody with a set of cojones in Olmsted County that's willing to step up and run for sheriff up there and just bring the integrity and the humanity back to that office.
Please listen carefully.
Because right now it's being led by simps, simpletons, lackeys, sycophants, and an egomaniacal tyrant. And it's not going to change if Torgerson doesn't leave. So until next time, Sic Semper Tyrannis.
regiment, you are over the target. You are authorized to fire at